Welcome, and thank you for joining us for our Workday chats today. I'm Indira Vidyaprakash, Senior Director of Workday Everywhere, and your host for today's discussion. If you have any questions, please share them in the comments below. I'm thrilled to be joined by Dalia Kendik, Head of Digital Human Resources at Thomson Reuters. Hi, Dalia.
Hi.
And Apoorv Pant, Director of People Systems at Delivery Hero.
Hello.
Delivering a seamless and engaging employee experience is more critical than ever in the changing world of work. Yet, a recent study found that companies deployed on an average 89 different applications across their organizations last year. Today, we're looking forward to discussing how HR and IT leaders can partner and improve the employee experiences with digital workspaces. But first, let's kick things off with a fun question. Dalia, let's start with you. What do you love most about your role?
Well, thanks, Indira. I have to say that I love all things tech. I mean, I've been in the space for numerous years and get much enjoyment and passion in this space. So getting to play with functionality and automation and using that to solve real day-to-day opportunities, especially when I can see that alleviates pain points for people, is so much rewarding and fun for me. So this is a space that I know is constantly innovating, transforming, and I really enjoy looking across business processes, looking at functionality, seeing how things interconnect. And then I can't forget that I have such a great, talented team that, together we make work fun. So that's the joy of my role.
That's so wonderful to hear. I know that innovating and working with talented teams, that's what energizes me the most and makes my work fun too. Apoorv, how about you?
Like Dalia said, I'm also a big techie, but what I also like about my role is the opportunity to work with highly skilled individuals to drive rollouts and adoption of our applications and processes. Our organization is present in over 70 countries, and finding synergies in systems, tools, and processes is what keeps my role interesting and exciting.
That's so great to hear. So let's dive in now. Employee experience is the key driver for engagement, well-being, and productivity in organizations. How do you see it evolving, and which trends are on the rise? Apoorv, let's start with you.
One thing that I see is that as consumers, we use super apps, and I see a similar trend is now on the rise for work-related experiences too, where applications or single applications provide a seamless and integrated experience. Another trend that's really big these days is the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence to give recommendations to employees to facilitate their journey and support the whole employee life cycle. One more thing that I see is the nature of our workforce is changing. So we have gig workers, we have remote workers, we have flexible workers, and the way we work is also changing with organizations adopting hybrid and even a lot of organizations going into remote working. So these are some of the trends that I see are on the rise these days.
Yes, definitely. I think applying AI and ML to get more of those insights, and especially as the world of work has been changing the last couple of years, I think that becomes like a very key area to focus on as well. Dalia, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more with what Apoorv just stated. I think flexibility and personalization continue to be key trends in this space. Employees continue to want to have a personalized experience that guides them on what they need to know and what they need to do, and surfacing up curated content, leveraging AI and machine learning, just saves time, quite frankly. So I think that that's an area that I think is going to continue to expand and evolve, and is going to be I don't even know if it's a trend. I think it's just a staple now in terms of how we work, and having AI help augment someone's work to take away some of that tedious work is going to allow them to focus on the meaningful work that we all as HR professionals and IT professionals strive to do. So those, to me, apart from, just balancing overall health and well-being, I think are going to be continuous trends that we're going to see.
Those are some great insights, Dalia. And let's continue on this, because you mentioned some of the areas where we can focus for employee experience, really bringing in personalized experiences as well with AI and ML. Which areas of focus do you think are most critical to improve on that employee experience? Let's start with you this time, Dalia.
Okay, sounds good. And I would say, it's funny because we've seen this trend over the last couple of years around leveraging the SaaS products and the tools that can build out those employee experiences. But I don't know if we've done a great job focusing on simple. And I think a critical area that we need to kind of take a step back on is, how do we simplify that digital experience? To me, that's a critical focus area. And simple's not easy sometimes. I think we've made things over-engineered in some ways, but made things much more complex. But how we think about that end user and meeting employees where they are, providing tools that simplify and automate processes in the natural workspace and the flow of their work, I think needs to be the continued focus area. I think users want that experience that they get every day. If we can bring the experience to the employee versus having the employee search and find that experience in our digital spaces, is going to be key. So I think overall, the digital workspace itself, with a focus on personalized experience that guides people in that natural work, is probably imperative at this point.
Great insights again. Absolutely. One of my passions is, how do we bring Workday to where users are in their natural flow of work? And you really touched upon that key experience where employers need to focus on. Apoorv, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely echo what Dalia said. You couldn't have said it better. I think simplicity is key. You're absolutely right. I think the user experience has to be intuitive. It has to be easy to understand, accessible. Like you said, I think employees today want to use as less tools as possible, and rather than them going to tools, they would want the tools to come to them. This is also where I see a lot of platforms play a crucial role to bring different processes together. Having said that, I think we also have to recognize that, there will be situations where we will have more than one application or more than one tool. And I think this is where the focus should be, to have these tools integrated and even embedded to each other to create a seamless experience. Another focus, I believe, is predictive analytics and machine learning to create these personalized employee experiences and to support the overall employee journey within the organization.
Great points, Apoorv. Well, both you and Dalia touched upon that simplification, and I think that's something that we want to continue to focus on. So when we talk about simplification, it often requires also partnership across various businesses in an organization. Also, when you have integrated tools and creating a platform. So how can HR and IT leaders build that strong partnership in order to develop a great employee experience strategy? Apoorv, let's start with you on this.
Sure, thank you. I think it is important to understand and agree upon the employee journey in the organization. So HR and IT leaders need to collaborate closely to map this journey, understand the pain points in it, and then finally find technology-enabled solutions to sort of solve these pain points. I also see this not being only an HR and IT conversation. I think different departments of the organization and across levels should be involved. Finance, for example, they should also be able to create a robust listening mechanism that helps them prioritize actions from the feedback to create systems and processes. And like we discussed, these systems and processes should be user-friendly, intuitive, and well integrated. At our organization, for example, on multiple occasions, and even now continuously, we partner with leaders and teams from different departments to create seamless experiences for our employees to ensure overall increased productivity and efficiency.
That's so great to hear, and definitely a great point on sometimes it can be more than just HR and IT, and bringing in your other business partners as well to focus on what that key critical experience is for your employees. And the listening aspect is really important. We see that everywhere, thinking about how employees could provide feedback through these different mechanisms, and then we can provide some really good actionable insights with AI and ML, and managers are then empowered if they have those insights to do better with the team. And that's really key to that whole employee experience and bringing that for your employees in an organization. Dalia, how about you? What are your thoughts on the strong partnership between HR and IT?
Yeah, I agree that I think you really need to have a strong partnership across all of the key stakeholders that ultimately are touching employee processes. So at Thomson Reuters, I mean, we have a strong partnership between HR and IT. We partner together to really think about the future of work. I think that's a great example, right? When you're thinking about the digital experiences, the hybrid working, office space. So bringing in partners like facilities is another great example of, how do we continue to build out what those experiences are. And I think if we can align up front on the vision and strategy as a partnership between the HR and IT function, then it just allows us to enable on the focus and prioritize on the focus key areas that are really driven by those pain points by employees. I think another key area where we partner very strongly is just the basics, the foundational things, just like security, data, and governance. I think, those continue to be areas that are top of mind, right, from a risk perspective. And so we want to make sure that we're aligned on the hip in terms of making sure that we protect our data always. I think it's table stakes for something that, HR and IT can come together on.
That's a great point, the last one about the security and governance of data. And we take that really seriously as well, especially when you think about meeting users in the flow of work, or when there are those integrated digital workspaces. When critical data comes out of the system, we want to ensure that it's secure, that your data has, the highest possible security there. So that's definitely an area where IT and HR partnership is also really critical. And it's good to stay aligned on that as well. Could you speak now to one of the key employee experience initiatives that you might have worked recently, and also share any best practices with our viewers tuning in? Dalia, how about you start on this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've got a lot of focus this year around rethinking how we manage and deliver our content. So we think that's key in terms of an employee experience initiative. So how easy is it to search and find information? Sometimes it goes back to, it's not so much the technology, it's how we've, historically created our content. So we've got a project right now, just revitalizing content that really involves transitioning traditional documents, maybe PDFs, some older Word documents, etc., and really transitioning them to knowledge-based articles. So we're leveraging Workday as an example. Workday help to surface up the right knowledge articles so that we can enable things like search much more powerfully to our employees. So that's one project. And I would say from a best practice, it's really thinking through that end user when you're delivering and creating content. I think that's something that continues to be an area of focus, especially with some of these powered AI engines, right? The more content that you can make user-friendly in terms of that language, the easier AI will be able to adopt it. So things like chatbot in a natural workspace. Another key project that we're working on is just in that same notion is how do we create some of those single front doors where employees can know where to go to find help. Often we kind of point them to different places. And when we think about prioritizing that, there's big moments, I think, when employees want to search or find career or learning opportunities. And so where do we point them and how do we help them? So I think that's where, some of the personalization, for example, Workday Assistant, we've taken into consideration. We've deployed Workday Talent, the career hubs, the new job hubs that's coming out. And so how do you leverage that to create an experience where employees can navigate and find what they're looking for, but really help them with a guided experience, bringing some of that pure personalization and curation into the mix. So those are some of the projects that we're working on.
That sounds like a lot of projects you're working on, Dalia. So thank you for sharing those initiatives. And great to see, Thomson Reuters using more of those Workday products to really bring that key employee experience and making it simple and easy for your employees to really get help in the moments that matter, right? Those are one of the key drivers as well for employee experience. Apoorv, let's go to you next. What are your thoughts on this topic?
I think one initiative that we had that I'll speak to a bit in detail was related to a specific employee group that we have. So basically, we have our office workers, but we had a separate type of employee group, and we spent considerable time to understand their way of working. We realized some of our current processes and our setup would not be suitable for them and hamper their overall experience. And so what we did is we co-created more customized processes for this part of the business. So essentially, it is very important to know your audience, in this case, your employees. It is important to understand that there is no one size fit all. And hence, it is important to speak to different areas of the business and allow flexibility where it makes sense, while still having some level of global alignment. At our organization, we, like I mentioned earlier, we are present in more than 7 countries. So we have different ways of working, and finding a common ground is very important. One key learning we also had from this initiative was that providing greater accessibility is key, especially to employees who are not at their desks all day and every day. So, the Workday mobile app really helps there. We also utilized different ways like QR codes and stickers so that, you could just scan a barcode and then just go into the Workday app and, quickly record absence or do other tasks. So I think it's very important to understand what your employee base is, and also allow some level of flexibility in how you set up your processes and your systems.
This is a great point that you make, Apoorv. That employee experience sometimes isn't just like a one size fits all for an organization, and where you're really looking at your workforce, the different types of workers, also where they are in a day-to-day basis. As you said, like users might be in the front line, so maybe mobile applications are far more engaging to them and helps drive that employee experience. So that's a great insight for you to share. Thank you for that. And finally, our last question. As we look to the future of work, what is the one prediction you'd like to leave our audience with today? Apoorv, let's start with you on this.
Sure. One prediction, we see some of it already happening today, but I believe there will be a need for increased autonomy for employees to be able to drive all aspects of their work and their own careers on their own without any additional support. And of course, technology, I believe, will play a key role in supporting this.
Definitely. I think this is where we can really start empowering our employees so that they can now start managing their careers and grow as well. Dalia, how about you?
Yeah, I think the obvious one is that AI is going to continue to be a hot topic, and you're going to see more and more technology companies adopt a digital-first, AI-enabled process in all of their different areas of prioritization as an organization. So I think user design, employee listening are also key areas that are going to continue to be super important for companies. Just to embrace and use to elevate better employee experiences. So I think those are areas that we're going to hear more of, and AI and machine learning adopted in those processes are going to be key.
Those are some great predictions. Thank you again for sharing them. Definitely agree that with AI and ML, there's so much more that we can do to simplify that employee experience and the digital experience. And it continues to require, again, that strong partnership between IT, HR, other business partners in the organization as well, so that we can simplify that digital experience and also elevate the human experience. Employees are connected, they can be engaged and more productive. And listening to employees and providing sort of those actionable insights back to managers also makes it more effective for them to support their teams. And all of this leads to that really great employee experience. Thank you again, Dalia and Apoorv, for sharing your insights. I enjoyed our session today and hope you did too. I really appreciate your time. And thank you to our audience for tuning in today. Join us next month for our next episode of Workday Chats.